Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. Here we are, December 30th, 2025, right? A couple days away from New Year's Day. And I know we typically do these once a month. This year and this month is a special exception because here we are on episode number 64, and it's our second episode in December. So we have a lot going on here at Levinson and Associates. And of course, we want to share all of these great things with our agents, our agencies, our IMO partners, right? Everyone that falls in between. So fast forward, right? We're sitting here today at 12 o'clock Eastern time on Positive Tuesday is what I like to call it. And our special guest speaker is the actual Amerilife CEO, Mr. Scott Perry, is joining us. So now you can understand why it's so special today on number 64. So Scott, do you want to say a few words to the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Well, I hope everybody had a great holiday season. And more importantly, I hope you had a great finish to a great year. But I'm really pleased to be able to be here and join Bill on his podcast. It's exciting. This is our first opportunity since our partnership to participate in this. So really looking forward to it, and a pleasure to be here, and a great opportunity to speak to all of you.
I appreciate you, Scott, always. And yeah, just so everyone is in the loop here. Well, before I even jump in and shift gears, I want to thank Scott personally for taking time, especially out of his holiday time. You know, it's New Year's, like I said, around the corner, and he's kind enough to do this for us and our agents, right? Literally smack dab in the middle of New Year's break. So I want to thank him from my heart for taking the time for doing this for all of us once again. So we appreciate you, Scott. Number two, I just want to fill everyone in. I know you heard about through various press releases and social media and our own communications that we did partner with Amerilife back in September. Okay. In fact, the press release went out, I believe, in October, November. But it has been amazing. And I'm just going to say a few words, and then I'm going to, obviously, I want to talk to Scott a little bit, and I want you to hear his take around Amerilife, around the partnership, around the industry, a little bit about his background. I think it's important for everyone to know. But before we jump in and dive deeper, so we joined forces, like I said, around September, October. And what's so ironic here, number one, is they've been around, right, since 1971. Levinson has been around since 1972. So you're talking about two powerhouses, right, in the industry. That's over 100 years of combined experience. So, and I know a lot of you are scratching your head and saying, you know, Amerilife, they're huge, they're doing great. And Levinson, yes, they've built something very special, right, over the past 55 years, whatever it is. And, you know, what's the reason behind this? And there's so many reasons. In fact, that would probably be a whole nother episode we can dive into. But the main reason is, and I know we also have a ton of agents, advisors, CPAs. We have financial advisors. We have P&C agencies, healthy, all the above that are listening in. And there might be an opportunity for you as well. In fact, what I also want to do, and I'll close at the end by sharing my info and, of course, Scott's LinkedIn info as well, because he has a great page you can follow. But if there's interest, let me know. And obviously, we can make an introduction to one of his team members. But the main reasoning behind this is, number one, finally, we were able to launch our health insurance department. You know, for so many years, right, we've been a major player on the life side. And then the last 10 years, the annuity side. And then we have all these 24,000 plus agents across the country saying, Bill, I have a great relationship with you guys. I don't want to work with this IMO for health insurance. I'd rather do it with you. So anyway, fast forward, we were able to launch our health insurance department by partnering up with Amerilife. And then on top of that, okay, think about this for a minute. We have all of the best products and contracts and carriers, yes, on the life and annuity side. What we didn't have, and what I didn't, of course, like to talk about much, was a handful of proprietary products and contracts and carriers we couldn't get access to, and some tech platforms we didn't get access to. Okay, so obviously we had our own ways around this, but now think of everything we had in the past and then fast forward to post Amerilife partnership on top of what we had. Now we have this unbelievable E&O policy, right? Starting at $295, covers B-rated annuity carriers or better through us if you're appointed through us. All of these, in fact, we have a nationwide exclusive annuity product that we now have access to with SBLI, for example. Okay, we now just found out a few days ago we're going to have some great proprietary products and benefits and platforms. So the list goes on and on and on. But I think the excitement around this partnership is finally you agents have access to the best of everything in the brokerage space, still being 100% independent, but kind of, if you think about 30 years ago, the career channel, the captive channel, you had a great suite of agent benefits, support, right? All of that behind you, but you took it on the chin when it came to commissions. Okay, and you were only able to sell one carrier and a handful of products. So think about that platform, right, on one side, but then on the right side, you're getting the top commissions and access to the most competitive carriers and products. So it's a win-win for all agents out there that work with Levinson and Amerilife. And that's what I'm so excited about, especially starting off in 2026. So you are at the right place. And I just want to thank our audience for sticking with us through the times. And it's been awesome. In fact, and I'll just mention this quickly, I hate to rant, but since the partnership, we are up 10 to 20% in the last 4 months, and it's because of you all. So another heartfelt thank you to our audience once again. Okay, so let's jump into Scott and his little background. And if you don't mind, Scott, if you can share with the audience and just share, how did you wind up in this crazy industry, and then how you wound up at Amerilife almost 10 years ago, I think now.
Yeah, great. Happy to do that, Bill. And also, I'll just, before I jump into this, I'll echo your comments and thank everybody for their support of Levinson Associates. It's great to see the firm come out of the gate since the partnership very, very strong. So we really appreciate that. Like most of you on this call, I would wager that you didn't set out to get in the insurance business, and I certainly did not. I got a sales job pretty much straight out of college. It wasn't selling insurance, but it quickly morphed into that. I was recruited into the industry, sold insurance, and then became a recruiter of insurance agents on the health insurance side. And that was really how I got started. I had some great opportunities at a very young age to do some things that I probably wasn't prepared for or qualified for. But I jumped in and, did my best, worked hard, and, sometimes had some success, sometimes had some failures, but along the way had enough success that it allowed me to gain more experiences and step into some leadership roles, and I just determined that I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about our business. I'm so grateful that I kind of stumbled into this business, like probably many of you on this call, and that it's allowed me to build an incredible life for my family and do things that I never thought would be possible in my life. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and didn't grow up with in any kind of expectations other than what I was going to make for myself. And this industry has just allowed me to prosper beyond my wildest dreams. It's been a wonderful ride, and along the way, I've had some incredible mentors, incredible leaders to follow. Some people that I saw that I didn't want to follow, but you can sometimes learn as much from them as you can from the good ones. I managed to through a series of moves over a 30-year career. I was 10 years ago, I was with a large publicly traded holding company called CNO Financial, which was the parent company for Bankers Life. Some of you may be familiar. I was running all their consumer businesses, so Bankers, Colonial Penn, and Washington National. And I was ready for a change. I was ready to do something more entrepreneurial, kind of back to my roots. And this opportunity came along at Amerilife. I was contacted by some folks, and we shared the thesis that there was going to be, investments in the life, health, and annuity individual distribution space that was going to revolutionize and change the way business was done. And I felt like the Amerilife offered an incredible national footprint with a long, history in developing that footprint, primarily in the health insurance space. But it would be a great kind of refer to it as a launching pad for this vision that I had of building a holistic platform to serve the near and in retirement across a holistic set of needs that people have as they, enter and live through their retirement years. So that was what drew me to the business, is that, it was an established business. I kind of refer to it sometimes as a fixer-upper. Had great bones, but needed some work. And, so that was the opportunity. I joined the company in January of 2017. And it's been an incredible ride. I've had some, amazing, I met some amazing people, had some amazing opportunities, and it's been a rocket ship over these 8 years.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a rocket ship. And, I have to say, and with you on this call, this podcast or not, what you have built is unbelievable. And, you look at what you've done, right, since January 17, and you have put a completely different look, a different face on the company. People respect the company. You have over 300,000 agents now, over 109 agencies and IMOs and career agency locations. I mean, what you have done is outstanding. And that's a big part of the reason why we wanted to partner with you guys. So I give you a ton of kudos, Scott. You really made a big difference. And to see where you are today and where the company is going is mind-blowing, and it's fantastic. So I just wanted to point that out.
I appreciate that, Bill, but I'm happy to take it, but I don't deserve all the credit for sure. It wouldn't be possible without, the people around me. Like anything, when you step into a new role, you really very quickly kind of can determine, who's going to help you get to the next level and who might, be holding you back. And the people that have helped, that were here and then subsequently people I brought in that help the company get to the next level have, really deserve all the credit. It's been incredible. And, kind of seeing the vision that I had kind of come into reality. And like I said, it wouldn't have been possible without all the support from the people, and both the ones that were here when I got here, as well as the ones that have joined subsequently, including yourself.
Yeah, no. I totally get it. But again, you were steering the ship. So yeah, you had the vision, you had the goals, you put the teams together, and you did a great job. So yes, I get it, and I appreciate it. In fact, fast forward, that's why we're on this call together today, and it's just fantastic all the way around. And what I love about when I first met you face to face a couple months ago at the Amerilife home office, I was asking, some of the guys like Mike Vitri, who's been amazing. I was like, hey, what's he like? Should I wear a suit and tie? Do I just dress casual? He said, Bill, he's a down to earth, cool guy. Like, and I was like, okay, I get it. I don't have to be nervous. And you are. Yeah. And I was so impressed, that you're just like everyone else. And, and we, as they always say, we all put our belt and our pants on the same way. And you were just that guy. And what I was so impressed with, and I'll say this on record, is you get it. Most CEOs, most board members, or even IMO agency owners, whatever it is, they might understand, sales or distribution or maybe even the technology side, but it's rare to find someone that gets all three corners, and understands what the agent goes through in the trenches and understands what the IMO goes through for supporting these agents. So anyway, I was super impressed with that part of your knowledge and just how down to earth you were. So I love that.
Well, I appreciate that, and just to comment on the kind of understanding the agent. I mean, from the beginning, the vision, besides building out this holistic platform to serve the spectrum of needs, health, asset accumulation, decumulation, legacy planning. It was always about a platform that would serve the agent and the advisor that is serving this marketplace, because the marketplace needs what we bring to the table. And we can't bring any of this to the table without the agent and the advisor on the front line. And I loved your comment about, remembering the career days, because I started just at the beginning of the end of that period. But there's something about, and I obviously ran a big, large career organization in bankers, one of the few still remaining. But what you there's certain things that are great about that. And it's the camaraderie, it's the culture, it's the tools, it's the support, the training. But, there's also a lot of things we don't like about that. That's why we're all independent. But I will say so that one of the goals was in building this platform was try to bring some of the best things about those old models where the agent doesn't feel like you're in it alone, that you have somebody there to have your back, to support you, so you can still be independent and do your own thing, but you have somebody supporting you and providing you, the things that you need to be successful and serving your clients and building your business.
I love that. I love that. You're exactly right. And I bring this up on just about every episode that we have is I compare, the career channel versus the brokerage side. And you look at like when I started over 25 years ago, and I think you said 30 years you have in this business. But when we both started, if you looked at the percentage split of premium, right, it was typically it was heavily weighted on the career channel. And then it would go, let's say 50-50, where it was half and half brokerage and half career channel. And then you fast forward to today and it's like 85-15. Right, where most of the premium today comes from brokerage. So in my opinion, the real trick is, how do you provide all of the great pluses on the independent side, but still have this platform where, again, they have support, they have coaching, they have a CRM tool. And we spoke about that on the Lead Star episode. And that was exactly what we dove into. So I love that point. And you're right. You're right. And that's what we're trying to accomplish today. And I think you did that. So good stuff. All right. It's funny too, before I get into this next question, and we speak about this stuff all the time, is that in this industry, you talk about like, whatever, MDRT agents, the ones that are, crushing it on the life side, the annuity side, even the health side. And they all say the same thing. They're like, Bill, I never wanted to get into this business. And I kind of met someone, and they talked me into it. And my dad's good friend that was a professor for CE credit and education, he would tell me all the time, he said, Bill, this will be the best kept secret in the world, right? Or the worst nightmare, and it's what you make of it. And I'll never forget it. Yeah.
It's sound advice. Yeah, totally. So true.
Yep. I love that. It's just funny how we all have the same stories in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. So obviously we all know you've built an unbelievable company, and I feel like we still have a while to go. We're still growing and climbing. When you look at where we are today, right? Let's call it 2026, January 1st, January 2nd. In fact, is when we're all back on Friday. What are some of the goals, right, and your vision, right, moving forward now, into the future or the near future?
Yeah, I think it's, to continue to, uh, we've assembled a lot of capabilities to kind of achieve this vision of a holistic platform. And, that term kind of gets overused. So what I mean by that is holistic. So an advisor, if they choose to, as their business grows, as their clients' needs expand, that they can serve the spectrum of needs that a client has. And they can do it off all one platform. So they have access. You talked about health insurance. That's a great example. So you have life insurance agents. For the first time in my career, you and I have been in this business a long time, Bill. We've heard people talking about cross-selling, and Mike Vitri has a comment that or a phrase that I like to reference because it's so true. He said, as an agent, you may not be cross-selling, but be sure you realize that your client is cross-buying. They're just doing it with somebody else. So, it's very powerful when you think about it that way as an agent, that they're going to get these services. Whether they get them from you is kind of up to you. But you need access, you need a platform, and you need a place to go. And, why agents not cross-sell? A lot of times because they're not comfortable. They don't feel like I know enough, or I have the best product, or, if something goes wrong, I don't want it to jeopardize the rest of my relationship. So we have to deal with all those challenges. And those are real, meaningful, real objections, real concerns. And so the idea of this holistic platform is a place where an agent can go to get the best products, to get the education and the knowledge, and to get the support, and to get the technology that doesn't, if they're in the life insurance business and maybe they know hands down what they need to support, EAP with life, but, they don't know about health. Like, what does that mean? Not only from a product standpoint, from a technology standpoint, from a support standpoint. So when we talk about holistic platform, it goes beyond just, throwing products on a shelf. It's really all the things that go along with the product that enable the agent to confidently, address these needs with their client, and then solve the needs. And that was the plan. And so we've made a lot of progress in aligning the capabilities. And now, the vision for the next chapter of Amerilife is we've built all these great capabilities, or we've acquired them, and we've put them together. We've got them on a platform. The next chapter is all about, making sure we get, we extract the value, meaning that, we get the synergies and those things that make sense working together. We get them working together. Kind of like, if you think of, building an engine, so we've got all the parts laid out. Or if any of you have, spent time putting Christmas presents together, it's like we've dumped out all the ingredients to build the Lego house, or what the latest toy is. And now you have to, read the instructions and put it together. We're kind of in that, let's all put this together so it works the way it's intended to work. So we're in that next stage. And that's what I kind of view as our chapter here, and our charge is to take advantage of the scale and the capabilities that we've assembled, so we can, deliver the best, the highest quality carriers with the best products to the market, that we can develop and deliver the best technology solutions across the spectrum, and we can, deliver the best solutions to support our advisors and our agents. And that includes, you mentioned the proprietary product work. Yeah, we invest. And one question you might ask, well, why does Amerilife think they can do that? Well, because scale allows us to make investments that, a small operator doesn't have as much scale to spread that expense out over. Scale allows us to make big dollar investments, and because we can spread that out over a large scale of users, and it makes those investments, generate a quicker return. And so it's not really rocket science. It's just, I understanding what leverage means, and how you can uh, uh, take advantage of that scale to make investments that still make economic sense. And a good example of that is not only in technology, but in product development. We have an entire team of actuaries on the health side, on the annuity side, and the life side that work with our carrier partners to come up with, ideas, develop products, price those products, and then deliver those products into the market in, whether it's exclusive or proprietary in a lot of different fashion. And again, we make that investment. It's a whole team, and we can do that because we are being able to bring that to our partners like you, and you can bring it to your thousands of agents, and we can all get the value from those investments. So that's, I would say, kind of the next chapter is just putting it all together and extracting the value of the incredible people, the capabilities, and the investments that we've made so far.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's taking all of these moving parts and putting them together in sync so everything is working together in one direction. And that's a major reason why we decided to partner and come on board. Was for that leg up, quite frankly. So I see it all. Yeah, I love it. I see it happening now, and it's all, the way I look at it too is like it's like the Costco approach versus the neighborhood supermarket. When Costco reaches out to Nabisco or whatever brand it is, obviously they're buying in bulk, they're buying for all their stores, for their website, and they get a lot more attention, right, than the local Bill's Grocery on 31st Avenue. And it's the same thing. And it leads down to the agent and the consumer, because the agent is getting the best carrier and the best product, and the consumer is getting the best product. And then persistency, things stay on the books. It just trickles down, and it becomes, it's just a win-win-win all the way around. And now, I'm going to selfishly say, as an IMO, we now have access to these tech platforms, these awesome products and carriers we never had before. So that's why you, as an IMO or agency, you have to be able to pivot, right? And we all saw this during COVID and right after COVID. And this is another shift, another pivot, in my opinion, is we have to diversify and we have to maximize, these great platforms and products and et cetera.
Yeah, Bill, your comment on diversification is dead on. I think, back to the idea that your clients are going to get these needs met. And you want to make sure that you're in the best position to be able to, be the source. And whether you sell everything or you have partnerships to cover off on some things that maybe, you're not comfortable with, we can help you facilitate that. And that, I think, is just giving the diversification, especially for those of you, that have been heavy on the health side. I mean, the Medicare Advantage business has been great for the industry for the last 6 years. But listen, we're going through some bumpy times right now. And if you hadn't had some diversification, if you weren't doing some ancillary health, some HIP business, if you weren't doing some, simplified issue life insurance business, you only leaned in and focused, built your entire business around one product category. I mean, you might have had a lot of success, but as things get choppy, you're more susceptible to the impact of the choppiness. So I think everybody's learning about the value of diversification across product categories, and across markets. And whether today, if you're and the markets is an important one. If you're in the middle market, there are opportunities to move into the mass affluent market. If you're in the mass affluent market, there are opportunities to move into the high net worth market. And the beauty about partnering with an organization like Amerilife is we can help you transition. We have affiliates that work primarily in the middle market. We have affiliates that work primarily in the mass affluent market. And we have affiliates, if you run into a high net worth client, that can help you with a high net worth client as well. So it's just, whether it's product diversification, market diversification, you should be thinking about the big D, big diversification.
Yeah, it's priceless. It really is. And I remember, I'm just going to share two quick stories. number one is with us, right? We were always known, and I was brought up in this business. We were known as a one carrier agency, one carrier IMO. And when I came on board, I was like, Dad, this is crazy. We have one main carrier, right, that pays part of the overhead, whatever, and then we have a Amerilife term company contract, and I said, what happens if one of these goes away? We're done. We're down 30, 40, 50%. So next thing you know, brokerage, made a big push, and now we have 10 companies at that time back then. But the same thing happened. We were known as the Life IMO, right? And then the years went on, and we partnered with an outside agency, and we said, okay, we'll let them do all our annuity work because we didn't want to get involved. Well, next thing you know, we're missing half of our overrides after we started, doing some research. We said, let's bring this in-house, right? And now you fast forward, we have our life and annuity side and now soon to be health side, but you cannot get caught, holding the stick, so to speak, and you have one carrier or one side of the business covered. And let me just say one more thing, Scott. This is huge. So this big, it's a P&C agency called Estrella, and they have locations all over Florida, Texas, Georgia. They came to us recently and said, we need to open a life arm because our consumers are buying life insurance and it's not with us. So what do you suggest? And then they came on board and we offer this turnkey life solution. But it goes back to the same point, what you're speaking about. And I'm only mentioning a few examples, but now with Amerilife, we have options for our investment advisors. We have options for, life, health, annuity, group, you name it. So anyway, let's keep moving. I get a little excited when we get into
That's
this
great.
stuff.
Love the passion. Love the passion.
Hey, this is my life, and I love it, and I think that's what it takes to be successful at any level. You know that. All right, let's keep moving. So we talk about M&A work, affiliates, partnering with Amerilife. I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago that you acquired Crump, and that's huge, and that helps the big picture, helps all of us. But what can you speak about, like as far, because we have a lot of agencies under us, we have other IMOs that partner with us that are, some of them are as big or bigger than us that are also listening. So anything you can speak to about the M&A side, and then I'll give my opinion as well.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. And I think I'll start at kind of our philosophy at that level. And to say from the beginning, our approach to M&A was never about just M&A for the sake of M&A, to get bigger and to acquire revenue, acquire earnings. It was always about, like, how can these businesses help to fulfill the vision? How can we, because there's two ways to kind of execute on a build out. One is you can do it organically, you can build it all. The other is inorganically, you can build it through partnerships. And we knew that there was a limited window, that there was change coming to our industry, and so some of it we determined we could build organically. We can build on what was there, and it's like a good foundation. Let's build around it where we can. And so we did some of that, but we also recognized that there were things that we weren't going to have enough time to build on, to be able to deliver to the market as quickly as we wanted to seize. To seize the opportunity. So that was where M&A came in, partnership. So I think first is important to understand from a philosophical standpoint, it was never about just, a race to acquire businesses. It was always about, what makes sense and how can this help, round out the portfolio to, enable the capabilities that is going to enable us to, fulfill this vision. The second thing, so that's at the super high level, as we approach M&A, the first thing, even before the business, we looked at the people, because we knew that, we're in the people business, and it starts with the leadership and the alignment of that leadership together. And, if we're going to go into business together, it's essentially what you do when you partner, or when you either acquire or get acquired. You're going into business together. You're becoming business partners. And that people dynamic is so important, not only to, getting the deal done, but the execution post deal, which is what we're all in this for. Is like, how is this going to work after the check clears and the papers are signed? It's like, that's just one step in the process. It's really everything after that matters. And from that standpoint, it's like, how can we build ourselves? How can we work together? And it starts with having, people and the right people and a common set of values and being aligned on what we want to achieve. So people is number one. Then we look at business. Like, is this a, performing business? Is it growing? Is it, not shrinking? Has it done some of the things that you mentioned? Has it diversified? Has it taken some of the steps? And has it made good, sound decisions? And are the economics sound? And more importantly, are they sustainable? So that's the second thing we'll look at. So people, the quality of the business as it relates to the business model and the financial performance. And then lastly, but critically, is, does this business add value to the platform? Does it help us achieve that vision? Does it add an incremental element? Is there a gap that we have that it's helping us fill or maybe round out? And that could be, anything is, on one end, it just could, it's got carrier relationships that are, critically important to a segment of our market that maybe we don't have today. So it's adding that. It could be people. It's like, these leaders, not only can they run their business, but maybe they can step into broader roles in the corporate structure of Amerilife. Or is it technology? Does it bring some technology that, is really important to agents and advisors that we would have to build or go out and buy separately? Does it just come inherently through this partnership? And, there's a lot of examples I could cite, but I'll just touch on a couple. Like, we, in early 2020, late 2019, we partnered with Brookstone Capital Management. You mentioned our ability to work with financial advisors. I mean, there was this whole movement that I saw my previous company and I saw coming in the 2017, 2018. Some of it driven by the fiduciary rule, which was going to require more and more insurance first. I like to refer to them, people that got into the protection side of the business and then got into the investment side of the business. There were going to be more people making that transition from insurance only to insurance and investment advisors. And in order to serve that capability, we needed not only the licenses, but the technology, the products, the training know-how. And so we didn't have, that was a missing capability on our platform. And our partnership with Brookstone Capital gave us the ability to, kind of fill that capability gap. And that business, has grown, sixfold since our partnership back in 2019. So, in 7 years, it's just been fabulous. Great leaders, Dean Zaid and Daryl Riccone, do an incredible job there and have grown that business and helped us, and I'd like to think the Amerilife platform has helped their business grow and be wildly successful. So that's just any example of a capability, technology, tools, product, support that just came along and is a good example of how a business could fit in the platform. There's other examples where we brought in a business that gave us additional scale in the life insurance market, but had a leader that wanted to transition and had a successor to take over his business, but wanted to transition and take on a corporate role. So that person stepped into a corporate role, is now doing a great job as part of Scotty Elliott's team, helping, affiliates kind of transition onto the platform and extract all the benefits that are available. And his name is Eric Brennan. So we couldn't be happier when we get the people right, we get the business right, and then on top of it, it adds value to our platform. So those are all important criteria. I'd say as far as kind of what makes acquisitions work and what makes them fail, I think two things. It's alignment. So alignment around two elements. One is alignment around culture. So again, shared values, shared vision, and alignment around economics. Making sure that there's still plenty of skin in the game and plenty of room to run, and so we can, grow the business at the benefit of both parties of Amerilife as well as the affiliate leadership, and to get that alignment right is critically important. And I think the second thing is, from the very beginning, we've always thought about our M&A strategy as a step towards unification. That, we didn't want to just assemble a bunch of names and businesses and just say, okay, now we have all these things under an umbrella, but they all operate completely in silos. That doesn't make sense, right? But we want to respect the brand value that has been built by the entrepreneurs. We want to respect the unique entrepreneurial capabilities that the people that built these great businesses have and how they go to market. So, how do we nurture that, but also unify around a common goal and leverage the synergies that we're talking about to make sure that, everybody has access to these products, to the technology, to the know-how, to the best practices, to the training and support. And so it's always around that, kind of unification. So the sooner, what makes a successful acquisition is the sooner the partner engages in the unification process, and with eyes wide open on both sides, the more successful that business is going to be. And you're a great example, Bill, of a business that kind of you did the deal because you saw an opportunity to grow your business, but leveraging the tools and the platform and the capabilities. So you've immediately engaged. And I think because of that, it's highly likely that you're going to have an incredibly successful run.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, we have our SCA Premium Finance webinar, upcoming in January. We've tapped into all the platforms that you all made available. And one of the, and I agree with that. And what's crazy, it's only been a few months, and we're already seeing great positive numbers and results, which is awesome. But one thing too, I want to mention, and I think it's so important, is, when some of these bigger agencies, IMOs, like a Crump or like a Levinson and Associates, for example, they've done a great job, right? That's why they're still around. They weathered the storm. They're still growing. Everything is good. And I love what you said about, you still let them run with their story, and they keep, the Crump name. And then, just as an example, and then, but it's powered by this Amerilife, model or brand behind it. So I love that aspect. And I think it's so important. You're right. You don't want to change anything, that built that company up and made them so successful. But at the same time, let's all unify and leverage this great Amerilife brand name and platform behind it, almost like rocket fuel. So I love that concept.
Absolutely. One thing I learned early on, and I'm sure most people listening will have experienced this themselves, is that change is inevitable, and if you're not changing, you're dying. you're not growing. If you're not experiencing the discomfort that comes with change, you're not growing. And so sometimes discomfort is good, and sometimes that means taking some risks, shaking things up a little bit. And it may not always feel good, but and it may not always even work, but realize that, that's how you grow through those, both, failures and successes. And we try to, enable that with our affiliate partners.
That's exactly right. And these aren't just words, because I went through it, and we're seeing and feeling it now, and it's all been great. And I want to, and also I know we're getting a little late, so I just have a couple other things before we let Scott go. But these are all great points. I wish we had 2 hours, but I know I have a busy schedule, and obviously Scott is much busier than I am, so I want to respect his time. Just a couple other things here. Speaking about M&A and the strategy behind it. I think what's interesting is my second to last question here, and this is good for the audience to know. when you look back, and I've been a part of NALBA, and I was on the agency successor networking group panel, for NALBA for many, many years. And when you think back like 10, 15 years ago, you didn't hear much about like private equity or M&A. It was pretty much the larger IMOs, that own the space, and that was it. So you had to either join them or try to fight them, and most of the time you wound up joining them for at least a handful of contracts. But you fast forward to today, and I've had a lot of episodes with CEOs of insurance carriers and VPs, and they're all starting to bring this up, and they're saying, like it or not, that you're going to have to eventually work with or deal with the big three, and who is the big three? Obviously, number one, Amerilife. The other two, I won't mention names. But the point is, 2026 is here, and distribution has changed. Okay. And like Scott even mentioned, you can roll with it or not, but it's the reality. And the big three, just real quick, you have Amerilife, who from my chair has all the bases covered, right? And then let's say the second one is focused more on senior market and final expense. Maybe they're not a bad fit, but it depends on what part of the industry you're in. And then there's a third one, right? That's more focused on traditional life and annuity, but nothing in the health space or senior market space. So what intrigues me about Amerilife was how you have all the bases covered. And I think proof is in the pudding because it shows in the results and the numbers. So I just wanted to give you that feather in your cap and my cap too, quite frankly, because we're now a team, we're one. But I love to see that. And I just wanted to pull the covers back a little bit on the real distribution channel on the brokerage side, because that's what's going on today. So
I think your point, Bill, is right on. Distribution in the individual life, health, and annuity and financial advice space has definitely changed, and it's not going back. The genie is out of the bottle, and it will morph. It'll change. We're just committed to being true to our vision, and we're gonna be what we want to be, but we're not going to try to be things that we're not. But from the beginning, it was always about serving the retirement needs to help people live longer, healthier lives by alleviating the things they worry about. There's a strong linkage between, kind of mental well-being and physical well-being. And if part of your mental well-being is you're worried about, how am I going to pay the bills? What happens when I'm gone? What are my kids going to get? What's the tax ramifications of this for my kids? Or, what's this thing called Medicare? I don't understand it. It stresses me out when I think about it. And do I do a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement? What's best for me? So all these things people worry about as they near or enter or live through retirement, our job is to help them, take those worries off the shelf. Let's address them with good, sound advice, with good products, with well-trained agents and advisors, and let them kind of relax and focus on the things they should be focused on, travel, their grandkids, their golf game, whatever it is, anything that, helps them, live a more, a healthy, longer, enjoyable life. And so we're going to be true to that vision and those values. We think we've assembled, the right capabilities, more importantly, the right people. We've, kind of created a shared culture that's built on values that, that people brought over and that have become shared values to the organization. And, over time, we're building this thing, like to our point, we're going to appreciate what got us here in the entrepreneurial energy and the branding and the unique capabilities of the businesses and the people that we've assembled under our umbrella. But we're also going to be one Amerilife and try to function, around that vision together and achieve it, the most effective way possible. And that's, ultimately by equipping our agents and our advisors with the right stuff to go out and, meet the challenge and create a bunch of happy customers. One of the things that we established a long time ago when I got here was this idea of a value chain that, the value chain, it starts with the products, the carriers, the manufacturers, those partners of ours that take the risk. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So we have to have great risk taking partners. And then it's the distributors, the agents, the advisors, the agencies that kind of engage in that, hand-to-hand combat every day out in the marketplace. And then ultimately, so then at the end of the value chain is the consumer. So we always thought about, our strategy is if we nurture that value chain, if we do everything we can to, make sure our carriers are coming out with the best products and services and priced right and fair with fair compensation for agents, then the agent can be productive. And if we can give the agent the best products to get best technology, lead sources, support tools, we can give them more time in front of their client, less time, processing paperwork, more satisfied customers with better retention, better persistency. Then ultimately, even though we may, we being Amerilife may not touch the end client, we know we're delivering value to that end client. And that's really, what matters most is, do we have customers that, are being taken care of, they're, having their worries alleviated, that are living longer, healthier lives.
I love it. And then in return, that's when the growth happens. Like it or not, that's just the way it works out at the end of the day. So I love it. I love it. And let's I have just my last point here, and then we can put a bow on this, Scott. I'd like to, you think about the chain you mentioned. You have these two buckets from your perspective, the agent bucket and then the consumer bucket, and how we're going to grow these and provide better tools and resources, and then I just saw an article about AI and technology with underwriting, and how, automated underwriting now, 60% of all applicants are getting approved within 72 hours. 5 years ago, that was 30% of all applicants. So that's changing. Consumers are more educated now because of AI, because of technology. So back to the pivoting comment and being diversified and cross-selling and cross-buying from your clients, you got to get up to speed, and we're here to help you with that, right? And because of the rocket fuel Amerilife gives us, we can provide all of these great things. So this is just phenomenal all the way around, Scott. Any last comments for the audience, whatever it is, tips, anything on the leadership side? Technically, we're all in the leadership space. Anything you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Bill. First of all, it's been a pleasure joining you and having this conversation. Like you said, we could spend another hour easily, just on diving deeper on a number of topics. But maybe that's for an episode down the road. But you're right. We're all, no matter what chair we sit in, we're all leaders and developers and mentors of people, and we should assume that role as an honor. I know I do. It's a privilege for me to lead, great people and great businesses. I'm only successful if they're successful. So, that's the starting point. I think you take that perspective as you assume a leadership role, or your leadership role expands, or you're in a big leadership role today. It's not a bad reminder to realize how privileged we are to have this opportunity to lead people. It's an honor. And I think from a couple of tips that I'd give on leadership in general is people don't live in the past. They don't even live in the present. They live in the future. Their mind operates in what's coming next. So as a leader, it's important to paint that vision of what the future is going to be like together. And that's what people get fired up about. They get motivated by the future and the opportunity ahead. So paint, and it helps to remind them, because as soon as they don't hear that often, because what hits them in the face when they turn on their computer is today. It might even be yesterday. And it's those things come with struggles and challenges. And so how do you get through those struggles and challenges of the present? It's by that vision of the future. And so I remind everybody as a leader, just, whether you're leading a business, a team, It doesn't matter. Your team needs to be reminded of, why it all makes sense and why it's all worth it. And it's because of what's going to happen in the future. So paint that vision for them as often as possible. I think the second thing I impart to leaders is, whether you do it on paper or you do it verbally or even just in your head, it doesn't matter. I'm not a big poster guy, but, establish values. And think of your values not as something values are aspirational, in my opinion. You never really know whether you got there. It's just that you're working to get there. So if you have a value of excellence, you can't just say, oh, okay, I'm excellent, so I can stop working on it. It's like, no, you're endeavoring to get to excellence. And so it's aspirational. What excellence means constantly changes. So you want to constantly improve it, but it's a value you've established for your organization. I think of them as guardrails, and they're guardrails to govern the behavior that you want to see that will help you achieve your vision. These are guardrails, and you have three choices. You can, encourage certain behavior. So behavior that's very consistent with the values that you want to embrace, you want your team to embrace. So you can encourage it, you can accept it, saying, not exactly what I want, but it's not terrible, so I'll tolerate it. Or you can say, I'm not going to tolerate it. So establish values, be clear on the ones that you'll encourage, what you'll accept, and what you won't tolerate.
Very strong. Very, very, very. I just wrote down half of those. That was awesome, Scott. This whole episode was great. And I once again, I want to thank the audience. Thank you, Scott. Now everyone sees why I was so excited about this and why we decided to partner up with Scott and the new Amerilife, which has been amazing. And I said it already 10 times. Hopefully, and we'll either see Scott or a member of his team at our expo, April 17th, 2026. This was fantastic. And Scott, I want to personally wish you a happy and healthy new year. I want to wish our agents a happy and healthy new year. If anyone wants to follow Scott on LinkedIn, look him up, Scott Perry. I follow him. You should too. Just a great guy all the way around. And now you can see that with your own eyes and ears, right? The proof is in the pudding, as we say. I'm excited to be part of this team. You can tell in my voice, right? Part of the rocket fuel concept. I love it. And I'm looking forward to an awesome 2026 and working together, Scott, with you and your team. And I just want to thank you and everyone else that helped us get to the point where we are today. So thanks again, everyone. And we'll see you next year, 2026.
Thank you, Bill. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yep, you too. Great selling, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.